I'm gonna need that when you're done with it.
In season 7, we really wanted to get back to business, to the mythology, and to telling good, scary stories again. For me, being the main mythology writer, I had to think about the season very carefully, and in a way I had never had to think about the show. So, season 7, we are trying to scare you in ways we've never scared you before. Everyone was a little anxious, mostly me, about how to approach these episodes as if they were the final X-Files stories we would ever tell. There was a chance that it could be the last year of the series. There were things that the series needed to do, and character issues, and Mimi Rogers' character was a character you were destined to hate because she was a competitor for Mulder's affection with Scully.
When I got the script for The Sixth Extinction, it was by far the most I had had to do in an episode. It was so funny because about 3/4 of the way through, it occurred to me, uh-oh, this is way too good. I have too much to do. They're going to kill me, which is, of course, what happened.
It was a very emotional episode, and we had actually tried to play to David Duchovny's desire to have his character explore something, a different dimension or a different depth, a different emotional range of his character.
There was this great shot where we pull back from the cigarette-smoking man, and as we pull back, we see the matte painting of the end of the world, which was all computer-generated. And spaceships coming in, and then fly over camera. It really shows you the magic of movies. That's real movie magic.
That was a real experimental episode because the idea is, how do you tell an episode from the monster's point of view so that if it really works, if it's really firing on all cylinders, by the end of the episode, Mulder and Scully are the bad guy, the antagonist. You don't want them to show up and stop the monster. You want the monster to get away at the end, even though he cracks people's heads open and eats their brains.
We had a great little actor, Chad Danella, in it, and a great makeup job by the John Village people, with the skull cap and the black eyes, the shark's eyes and the shark's teeth.
The hardest part about that was hiding his ears, because we had to hide his ears underneath a ball cap and still put ears back on top of it without making his ears look giant. There was a lot of little tricks. Every illusion we could pull to make it look like he didn't have these huge giant ears, we did.
Rob, be that good person I know you mean to be.
And he looked at her, and through these black contact lenses, you can't see tears, but you can see the mist in his eyes. And he takes this long moment before he makes a decision that enough is enough. And then he turns and he runs at Mulder, and he commits suicide, basically. And again, just like in Leonard Betts, trying to root that in an emotional place and give him some soul.
I can't be something I'm not.
The TV series Millennium ended before the Millennium did. And we thought it was a shame that Frank Black didn't actually get to see the calendar changeover.
Hi, my name is Fox Mulder. This is my partner, Dennis Scully. It's a pleasure to meet you. You mind if we sit down?
So we loved the idea of bringing Frank Black onto the X-Files so that he could see New Year's Eve 1999 change to New Year's Day 2000. And there was an added bonus to doing that episode, which was after 7 years of teasing, we could let Mulder and Scully kiss. And the reason we could do it is because it was New Year's millennium, and that's a thing people do. I love the way the kiss turned out, not just for the kiss itself, but for the looks that those two actors gave each other after the kiss, which I thought were so rich and loaded that they invite all kinds of questions about what the two of them thought about that kiss and whether they would ever kiss again.
The world didn't end?
No, it didn't.
There is a history and there is potential between her and Mulder, and I think that selfishly, wonderfully, the fans just want them to be together.
The Amazing Malini started from an idea that Frank Spotnitz had. He had been saying to me for two years prior,
I want to do a magic episode. He felt from the beginning there was something in magic and the idea of illusion as an X-File and whether magic is real or not.
The key to that show for me was the casting of Ricky Jay, who I had been a fan of for many years.
Chubia.
And we really designed that character and wrote his voice specifically for Ricky.
This will be my greatest show ever.
Right on.
We had to do a head cast of Ricky Jay. We had very little time to do this effect. I'd say 4, maybe 5 days tops, which really isn't an adequate amount of time to do a fake head like that, especially the level of detail. Let me grab him here. Here we go. Here's Ricky right here. There's a scene where he's in the car.
Mr. Malini.
One of the actors just shakes him. The head kind of falls off onto the ground. And we had to do this on cue, so we thought the easiest way to do it was with electromagnet. You really can't see it, but there's like a little plate here on this part of the body, a little metal thing that's hidden by all this kind of gruesome stuff. And on the other stump, there's like a very strong electromagnet that this is placed onto that would really hold while you shaked it. And we just hit a switch, and that allowed it to fall over on cue, which worked surprisingly well.
Snakes, they were real rattlesnakes, but our snake handler, Jules, would sew their mouths closed. And that sounds worse than it is. Rattlesnakes have ready-made holes in the plates of their jaws. And you can just put a little 4-pound monofilament through those holes. They don't feel a thing. And they can still stick their tongues out, but they can't open their mouths to bite you, or so they say.
His head is just for where the shoelace is, right here. And as soon as that gun hits, you let him go.
David had the snakes all over him. He never complained. Some of them were rubber snakes. I'll let you in on a little secret. But we did have one rattlesnake. When David was on the ground, we had a rattlesnake come right up in here, and that little snake came up and looked in David's eye, and David looked back at that snake. And you have to have a lot of faith in Jules and that knot he tied, because that knot slips, and bang, you got fangs in here, and you're in real trouble.
He got me. I was a little anxious to be working with live snakes. You know, I think there's something in us that is afraid of snakes. I think something primal, you know, and I think even though you know that they're sewed shut in a way that doesn't hurt them, which was also a concern. I didn't want the snakes to be hurt. Still, I mean, they're rattling and looking at you and sizing you up.
What we wanted to do was finally deal with the story of Samantha and give people an answer to that. And we didn't want it to be an easy answer. So we thought the more emotionally honest thing to do, without damaging what Chris has in mind for the end of the series, was to give the answer then and there that Samantha was indeed dead. And also to make it cathartic and kind of moving and a release for Mulder and this guy who's suffered under the weight of her disappearance the entire time we've known him.
This is the end of the road. That I've been brought here to learn the truth.
Are you ready for it?
We needed someone to bring a visual style to an episode that was dealing with ethereal beings in a kind of literal way. We had to see these things, so it had to be done very deftly and carefully, and it could have been corny or hokey, but Kim always has very good ideas about how to put these things on film. Kim gave it a visual style that I think turned out to really help the emotion, the deep emotion that was, and I think the music helped as well to tell the story of Mulder coming to terms with what had happened to his sister.
David Duchovny taught me a great lesson. When we shot Closure, there's a moment when the little boy leads David to the children playing around the tree, and Mulder sees his sister for the first time since she was abducted and realizes that she's dead, and he sees her spirit, and the little girl runs to him. The script called for David to hold the little girl and get down on his knees with her and break down and cry. And I said, okay, David, this is what, and he said, Kim, I said, I want to talk to you. He said, I think we shouldn't do that. I said, but David, this has been the quest to find your sister. He said, I got an idea, and I just want you to look at it. I said, okay. And the little girl ran into his arms. And first of all, he didn't want to touch her. She put his arms around him. And then he had a moment, he put his arms around her. And he stroked her hair. And he just kind of stared off into space, and she took his head off his chest and looked up at him, and she had the thinnest smile on her face. And she put his head back on her chest, and he had the most peaceful look on his face. There was no tears. It was such a simple moment. And I said, cut it. And I went to David and I said, that's powerful. That's powerful.
It's kind of a standing joke in the X-Files that we always cast, not that we cast unattractive people, I think we have a very attractive cast, but we never cast people that look like that. We don't, you know, we try to cast people who look like everyday people by and large. That's one of the aesthetics of the show, is that it should all seem very real. So we were enjoying the novelty of casting a part where it was important that the person look like a sex pot.
We have the sort of obligatory Sharon Stone leg crossing homage in the episode, and so you know, when you're telling the cameraman, we know where to put the camera down here, looking up at her skirt, everybody gets a little bit nervous, including the actress, I'm imagining, because I don't know, it's a very risque sort of camera angle, and then you have the actress do it several times wearing, you know, next to nothing. And I have to say, for like the first 2 or 3 times she does it, everybody kind of holds their breath, and then it's like it's no big deal. It's as if she's doing, you know, she's eating a sandwich.
I sure upset the man running the metal detector.
The truth is, with that shot, it was kind of difficult because I kept getting the timing wrong. I didn't know whether I wanted her to deliver the line before she crosses her legs, during her crossing her legs, or after she crosses her legs. And so I think I had her do it about 20 times, not being able to make up my mind. So I'm sure she's an expert leg crosser by this point.
Get in the module! When we heard, oh, you're stuck in a virtual reality game, and then we saw, like, all the cool guns and the outfits, well, we get our outfit in the trailer, and it's the action thing with the vest, and we go, oh, cool, we can hardly wait till we get our guns. And then we realize, oh, wait, we're stuck in the virtual reality game without weapons. How pathetic is it? We don't even get a little, oh, we were all looking forward to being, you know, action heroes. And, of course, Mulder had to come in and save our butt.
You guys okay?
We've been better.
At one point, I think Bill Millar was talking to Chris, and Chris was saying, you know, I wanted to appear in military garb and, you know, firing Uzis. And I think Bill literally, as a joke, said, well, why not put her in a tank? And of course, Chris said, gee, that's a great idea.
Bring it on.
I did write the script with the intention of directing, but I did not pre-think the fact that I would be directing myself in every scene.
Angle the head of the lamp a little towards Scully.
I needed to split my mind so I could only focus on the fact that I was writing it for the longest period of time, until probably about 2 days before I started directing. 4 days before I started directing. And then I could switch over to director's mode. But while I was writing, it didn't even occur to me the difficulty of directing myself in every scene. I had an idea of how I wanted the episode to look, and how I wanted certain scenes to look, how I wanted certain environments to look and locations to look. I mean, I had very specific ideas, and so I asked a lot of questions about film stock, about lenses, about filters.
And then we'll do a close-up on that too, just for the last beat.
Things were slowed down. Her perception of reality was heightened at certain points. And she was very, very active in the post-production process. We got a lot of response to the show. It was a softer kind of an X-Files. It showed us a lot about Scully's character and how important her career was, that she sacrificed a very major part of her life for her career.
What do you want, Dana?
There were certain aspects of writing that were harder. I was just as surprised with how easy some aspects were as I was with how hard other aspects were. And that the hard part was finding ways to mold my story and my vision into what is acceptable as an X-File without making it stagey or predictable or too new agey, or, you know, it was a very fine line, a fine balance between making it truly within the realm of possibilities, but at the same time making it X-File worthy.
David Duchovny directed a wonderful show called Hollywood AD, which was sort of a tribute to old Hollywood. It was very, very funny. Of course, Gary Shandling and Téa Leoni play Mulder and Scully in the feature version of the X-Files.
7 long years I've been waiting for just the right moment, Scully.
You're a sick man, Mulder.
The thing that's attractive about directing the X-Files is that it's like directing a movie, even though you've got really severe time constraints on you. So you're trying to direct like a big feature film in 11 days or half of one. I mean, that's good too, because I think once you've survived, you know, your 11 days on the X-Files shooting, you can pretty much do anything.
Where are you now?
I'm right underneath you. I'm in LA at the same hotel as you, right below you and Agent Scully. Fetterman got me a associate producer credit on the movie.
AP Skinner, huh?
The actual case is kind of serious, even though, you know, there's spots of humor throughout, but the idea of this Lazarus bowl, or this bowl that has Jesus' words in it when he raised Lazarus and can still do the same thing, is kind of pursued as a serious X-File within the show. I knew that, you know, you had to have like a real X-File to sustain it, and that's actually what took me the longest time, was once I got the idea of Skinner selling a movie to Hollywood, what is the actual X-File that Mulder and Scully are working on?
Excuse me, Mr. DiCaprio.
Yes, yes.
I have a question on that. When I do this scene, where I say, here's, okay, now here's the deal.
Okay, Gary.
You give me...
Gary, we've already shot this scene.
We're not going to shoot this again?
No.
We're all done with that scene?
Yeah, we already shot the scene.
Oh, I didn't realize you're in the middle of like an interview or something? Okay, because then I want to ask you about something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah, Mulder.
Agent Mulder? Listen, who do you see playing you in the movie?
How about Richard Gere? The original idea was because, you know, when I was starting acting, people would compare me to Richard Gere, so I thought, and we used to always have the joke on set that, you know, when they do the movie, it's going to be Richard Gere and Jodie Foster. So I originally wrote the teaser for Richard Gere and Jodie Foster, and then I just started to think about it, and I thought, you know, it'd be just so much funnier with Gary and Téa.
I'm playing, can you guess? Mulder. No, I'm playing Scully in the movie inside of the episode that my husband wrote.
Téa Leoni, this is Agents Mulder and Scully.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
It's a pleasure.
Big fan.
I wanted this to be something that would embarrass Scully, that when Scully sees the on-screen Hollywood version of herself, she would be appalled. And also, she wears this delightful little cross, and I'm wearing this, you know, Hollywood god-awful sort of thing. I'm in love with Assistant Director Walter Skinner.
That's it, Scully. I just can't take it anymore.
I thought Chris would want to direct this episode, just in case it was the last one. And he came to me, and originally at the beginning of the season, he said he would do episode 22. And midway through the season, for some reason, he changed his mind and wanted me to do it. And I feel very honored.
It has to end sometime. That time is now.
I wrote the ending, the actual ending of the episode, only the day before it filmed, and I had held it back because I didn't want the cat to get out of the bag. I had sort of wanted to keep a secret what was going to happen. In fact, if this was going to be the series finale, I wanted it to be a secret, and there were lots of prying eyes. We had lots of leaks. We had spies and spoilers who wanted to let the news out on the internet before we had a chance to show the show. So this was a case where I waited right down to the last minute and slipped without anyone's knowledge of where we were going with the episode, because the script was incomplete as we were shooting it. I brought this scene, and the series could have very well ended there.
I'm pregnant.
Scully and Mulder's beliefs were coming together at the end of season 7, which was a nice place to be, and that actually was the basis of season 8. How they would work together, that Scully would begin to believe as a scientist in the existence of extraterrestrial life. And we played with that in a very honest way, I think, with her as a scientist. So this really was, while Requiem was a requiem, it ended up becoming a foreshadowing of what was to come.